Hello. So today we have yet another new G.I. Joe classified figure to look at, since I apparently can't go more than a day or two without ordering a bunch of new toys. And that is the Dreadnok Buzzer. He is the second member of the Dreadnoks to come out thus far after Zartan, but the Zartan figure was very early in the G.I. Joe classified line before they'd really hit their stride, in my opinion, so I don't think he really holds up that well to the more recent classified figures. So hopefully they release a new Zartan at some point in the near future. But anyways, Buzzer is the second of the Dreadnoks, although Ripper should be coming out within the next month or so, and I have him pre-ordered, so hopefully he shows up before too much longer. Buzzer, I usually have my old biography cards that came with the original figures, but I'm too lazy to look through them to find the one for Buzzer. But I do remember his backstory is that he was a sociology professor at a college, a professor with anarchist leanings who did not get along well with his peers. And then he went, as part of a research project, he went to study and live with a motorcycle gang, and he ended up going native, as they say. He apparently discovered that cutting things up with his chainsaw was more gratifying than his educational career. Um, I believe the old card said something goofy like causing destruction was a way to take out his intellectual frustrations, something like that. In any case, so yeah, he joined the motorcycle gang, ended up later joining the Dreadnoks, of course. So yeah, anyways, let's take a quick look at the packaging. So as always, on the front we have some excellent action figure photography with Buzzer holding his trademark diamond tooth chainsaw, and he's chilling in front of looks like he just got done jamming with the band. Got an amp and drums and guitar and grape soda, which is always essential. So I don't know, maybe the Dreadnoks have like a little family band. I would buy a Dreadnoks album. I bet they sound like Motorhead. We've got his accessories up here, of course. Those look pretty gnarly. Nice character art on the side. Again, same character art on the side here. On the back we have the figure, and hopefully lets us know that he is 6.2 inches tall. All of his accessories, a close-up of his iconic silver skull and bones belt buckle, and his tattoo, which he also had on the original figure, his like snake and dagger tattoo. And of course we have the QR code that nobody cares about. So yeah, that's about it for the packaging. Let's go ahead and crack this dude open. Okay, so here we have Buzzer free of his packaging, and yeah, it looks pretty much exactly like the original 3 3/4 figure as far as his clothes and everything go. We got the sleeveless beige shirt, the grenade strapped on there, blue jeans, again the iconic skull and bones belt buckle and studded belt, and we got some dog tags here and a like sheriff or police badge, which I'm assuming the implication is that he killed a police officer at some point and stole his badge. Let's do a quick 360 here. Again, we got the nice studded belt and of course the ponytail and the tattoo. So yeah, pretty much perfectly faithful to the original figure, which is a good thing in my opinion. No need to muck about with the character design. These characters are beloved for a reason, so no reason to change them. Let's take a quick look at the articulation. So you pretty much know what you're getting in terms of articulation with G.I. Joe classified by this point. So arms, of course, forwards and backwards, horizontally up to shoulder height. There is a swivel joint here on the upper arm where it meets the shoulder. No swivel joint on the lower arm, but the wrists do rotate. Head, up, down, left, right, all kinds of good movement in the head. Legs, forward, backward, horizontally, up to waist height. Look, pull a Jean-Claude Van Damme there. Of course, we got the drop down hips. I shouldn't have done that split. No swivel joint on the upper leg, but there is a swivel joint on the lower leg where the boot meets the blue jeans. Got some foot action here. ab crunch, which we'll get back to that ab crunch here in a minute. Yeah, and of course you have the double pin joints in the elbows and knees, which I know a lot of people prefer the double pin. I actually do not. I actually prefer the single joint. I know these are supposedly somewhat better for articulation, but I hate the way they look when you have the arms and legs bent. You have like these weird, awkward, flat areas or gaps where they're like, look at this extended flat area right here. Just looks super awkward, and it makes the lower leg look stubbier than it should. But yeah, if you're just posing your dude on a shelf, he's probably not gonna have his arms and legs bent very much anyway. So in that case, it's kind of a non-factor. So definitely not a deal breaker or anything. And again, it just comes down to personal preference. I know a lot of people prefer the double pin. I just like the single joints better. And before we get to his accessories, actually, let's just take a quick closer look here. Get a nice close-up of his face. And again, you can see the dog tags, the police badge, cool belt buckle, studded belt. Close-up of the tattoo here, if my camera will focus. I can't quite tell. I was going to say he has a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, but that it wasn't very distinct, even in hand. But now that I'm looking at it, I'm not sure. Does he have a 5 o'clock shadow? I suddenly can't tell. I might be wrong about that. I'm kind of doubting myself now. Either he doesn't actually have one and I'm hallucinating, or he does and it's so subtle that it's making me question my sanity here. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at his accessories. So first and foremost, of course, Buzzer is not Buzzer without his iconic shades, his round glasses, sunglasses here. So let's go ahead and pop those on. Well, let's maybe pop those on. Huh, okay. Time out. Okay, alright, so that was a bit of a struggle and bit of an issue here. So on, I believe it was Sergeant Slaughter, he had detachable glasses, but they had little tiny pegs on the inside of each stem. It had like a tiny peg hole on each temple, so you could put the glasses, make sure they stay on there. And it wasn't noticeable at all, like the peg holes were not noticeable at all, but that way the glasses were secured. Buzzer, for whatever reason, does not have those pegs, and his glasses do not fit very well at all. I have them on there now, but if I touch him at all, if I move him at all, they're going to fall off, as I have just learned multiple times over. They just don't fit that well. Actually, gosh, after all that struggle, do I want to take them back off? I guess I should. Let's see if I can actually get a close-up without them falling off, so you can get a better look at him with his glasses on. Alright, so there we go with his glasses on. He looks much cooler, much more like the Buzzer that we know and love with the glasses. But here's the issue, if I can get my camera to focus, which is doubtful. Oops. So the stems are like bent outwards. It's kind of hard to tell on my... Oops. It's kind of hard to tell on my awful camera here, especially when it won't focus. But the stems are like bent outwards pretty significantly. So they do not fit on his head well at all. I don't know. It's almost like there's a little groove here in his hair. Like just the way his hair is. I don't know if that little groove is supposed to help them stay on somehow. But I assure you that it does not. Yeah, they just do not want to stay on there. So once you do get them on there, as long as you just have him posed on a shelf, it'll be fine. But if you move him at all, they will fall off. So that's a bit of a bummer. But anyways, enough about that. Let's go ahead and take a look at his other accessories. So we have this little combat knife here. Next, we have this little pistol with tape on the grip. We have this thing, which I don't know what it's called. I was hoping it would have like an actual little, one of those little chains, like an actual chain here. But as you can see, obviously, it does not. It's just a solid piece of plastic. So that's kind of a bummer. That detracts from the weapon a little bit, in my opinion. It still looks pretty wicked, but it would be way more badass if it had like an actual chain. So I don't know. This is just gonna look goofy. Like, I never like when a weapon with a chain is just like the solid plastic, because there's no way to pose them like holding the weapon without it looking goofy, in my opinion. It just looks super derpy when it's just kind of stiff and stuck in one position. I don't know. That's just a me thing, I'm sure. We have this thing, which appears to just be a baseball bat with a big spike and some saw blades attached to it. So that's pretty gnarly. And of course, we have the trademark diamond tooth chainsaw, which is looking pretty wicked. Oh, and there go his glasses, and I don't believe I even touched him. But anyways, yeah, diamond tooth chainsaw, looking pretty slick. Pretty good size, I must say. Let's toss this in his hands real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, slight change of plans there, because I could not get that chainsaw to fit in his hands to save my life. I'm sure if you mess with it enough, you can get it in there, but I was struggling because his hands, as you hopefully can see here, are a little goofy. The pinky finger and ring finger are bent inwards more than the other two fingers, but they're bent in so close to the palm that it's very hard to get anything to fit in there. I could not get the chainsaw to fit, and I could not get the bat to fit. I actually almost broke this damn bat, I think, trying to get it to fit in the hand. And both hands are like this. So yeah, as you can hopefully see, those two fingers there are bent in so close to the palm that it makes it extremely difficult to actually fit anything that he comes with into his hands. So again, that's also a little bit of a bummer. So what do we think here? He's good. I like him. He looks a lot like the original Buzzer. I love the Dreadnoks. Again, I did not want them to try to update or change his design or anything. I just want updated figures of the classic characters. That's all I want, is like cool, posable, awesome looking, faithful versions of classic characters. So I'm happy about that. That being said, there are some issues that kind of detract from the overall impression of the figure. Some of these are personal preference, some of them are super nitpicky. But first of all, not really happy with his glasses. Again, they do not fit very well at all. Again, as long as he's standing completely still, once you get him on there, it shouldn't be much of an issue, but they just know, unless it's just mine, but I kind of doubt that they do not fit well at all, and there is nothing on the glasses or on the figure itself to help them stay in place. Again, the stems are like bent outwards, so they don't fit. So that's a bit of an issue, which leads me to my second one, which is actually super nitpicky. This might just be me, but again, Buzzer is not Buzzer without his sunglasses. And he looks almost he looks almost like a baby face without his sunglasses. He doesn't look angry or mean or like grimy like a Dreadnok should. And if you didn't know who this figure was and you just saw him, just saw this face, you would probably assume he was a good guy. He just doesn't look angry or mean or vicious or anything. He looks much meaner with his sunglasses for some reason. But again, they don't fit that well. My next issue, and again, this is completely down to personal preference, is, again, personally, I do not like the double pin elbows and knees. I don't like the way they look, especially the knees. I just hate this weird area you get. But when your figures are just posed on a shelf, it's a complete non-factor. Again, it's just personal preference. I don't even know why I'm bitching about it, actually, because none of my figures are going to have their arms and legs bent, for the most part, when I have them posed on my shelves. Another thing along those same lines, I don't really like the drop down hip joints. On some of the G.I. Joe classifieds, it's worse than others. Buzzer isn't too bad, but on some of them, they just, like, they're too loose. Like on my Pimp Daddy Destro, for example, his legs look like they're just kind of dangling loosely from his crotch, and it's super awkward looking, so that can be a problem sometimes. It's not very egregious on this particular figure, though. Next thing, of course, again, the way his hands are posed I had a very hard time getting any of his accessories to actually fit in his hand, especially his chainsaw, which is obviously the main thing I would like him to be holding. Again, if you fuss with it, I'm sure you can get it in there, but it really shouldn't be that difficult in the first place. And lastly, I don't know, this may just be mine. It might just be my individual figure, but the ab crunch on this is super wonky. It's really loosey-goosey. Again, when he's just standing still, it's not much of an issue, but when he moves, the top of his torso just kind of flops around awkwardly. Again, it's just super loosey-goosey, and it makes his whole body all floppy when he's moving. So that's weird. Haven't had that issue on any of my other classified figures. And again, that might just be specific to my figure. That might not be all the Buzzer figures. But mine definitely has a bit of a floppy problem here. And again, these are all super nitpicky. They're not deal breakers. I guess now that I'm saying them all out loud in rapid succession, it sounds like I dislike this figure more than I actually do. It sounds like a big list of issues, but again, most of them are just nitpicks. Again, I'm not unhappy with him at all. I'm glad I picked him up. I'm really looking forward to having, again, a whole shelf full of Dreadnoks, hopefully someday. Can't wait for Ripper to show up. Really hoping they release Torch soon. And then, again, I hope they go on to release Thrasher and Road Pig and all the rest of the dudes. Would love to have the whole crew of Dreadnoks and Classified. And, again, a new, updated, better Zartan. Because that first Zartan figure is a little bit rough. So yeah, that's about it. Again, I like the figure. I like that they stayed faithful to the original to such a degree. There's just, a couple of minor issues that prevent him from being one of the really top tier classified figures, in my opinion. But again, most of them are minor, especially if you're just posing him on a shelf. It's just that they knock him down a few points in my book. But overall, very happy with him. I'm looking forward to having the rest of his crew join him someday, hopefully. So yeah, that's about it for now. Until next time, thank you for watching, and goodbye.